Hello all, and welcome to the Invasive Species Investigators Headquarters. Here, it is our job to identify invasive species that can be found in many different environments. We are so glad you are here to help. We could really use your expertise in spotting these suspects, and then figuring out what to do about them. But first, what exactly is an invasive species? An invasive species is a plant or animal that was introduced to a new area either by accident or on purpose. Some species, like the giant African land snail, was introduced as an educational tool. Others, such as kudzu, were brought here to make houses and neighborhoods look pretty. And still others, like the lionfish, were brought here for the pet trade. No matter the way they got here, they are still a problem for the native environment. So why is this a problem? Well, invasive species usually have no predators, diseases, or other things that keep their numbers in check. Because of this, they often outcompete native species that do have these limiting factors. So let's take a look at a few of these suspects that you may have a chance to encounter. First is water hyacinth. This is an aquatic plant species that was introduced from South America. You can tell that it is a water hyacinth because it either has a white or purple flower and very distinctive green heart-shaped leaves. Water hyacinth tends to blanket the surface of the water. This means that it crowds out other native species as well as prevents any sunlight from getting through to the water. It also makes it extremely difficult for any boats to move through the area. Our next suspect is the Chinese tallow tree. This was an ornamental plant introduced from China and Japan. It's likely that you have one of these in your neighborhood. You can identify this because the leaves are heart-shaped, flowers are yellowish and dangling, and the fruits are greenish lobed and found in clusters at the end of the branches. The problem with Chinese tallow is that it is much like the water hyacinth in that it tends to take over the area that it lives in, pushing out other native species. Eventually, they will create a forest of only Chinese tallow trees, and that's not good for the environment. Our next suspect is the European starling. This is a little bird from Europe and Asia, or Eurasia. You can identify this bird by looking for brown wings, a black head, and purple and green feathers. It also has many white dots all over its body, kind of like stars. When the European starlings get together, there tends to be a lot of them, and they can do a lot of damage to farmers' crops by eating them. They also cause some problems by all the noise that they make and the waste that they leave behind. These guys also tend to make their nests in some very unwanted places. Our final suspect is the nutria. This is a large rodent species native to South America. It was first brought to the U.S. to help with the fur trade. These guys are easy to identify as they look like very large brown rats that you'll often see in or around the water. Nutria can be quite a problem for their environment. They reproduce very rapidly and have a very large family. They also have a set of orange, strong teeth in their mouths, which they use to damage a lot of the aquatic plants in their habitat. And finally, they have no fear of humans, so they'll often walk right up to you. All of the suspects that you have learned about today are considered invasive because none of them are native to the Houston area. However, all of them have found some pretty good living here. So, what exactly can you do to help out with invasive species? There are a couple things that you can do to help keep invasive species from taking over the environment. First, plant native plants. Second, don't release pets or other animals into the environment without proper permission. And finally, observe and report. Some invasive species, like feral hogs, have special websites that you can go and report if you see them. We need you. Now that you know what the suspects look like, we need your help in finding them. Print the scavenger hunt sheet. You can find the URL in the comments. Take this sheet next time you go outdoors. See if you can spot an invasive species. If you do, come back and share your story.
Created using Powtoon.